Hi, my name is Angie Wong, and I am president of Legacy PAC. We just came off a huge bus tour across the nation where we went and supported Republican candidates that were running in the midterm elections. We're going to do it again in Georgia for Herschel Walker during his runoff. And of course, we're mobilizing for the big presidential run in 2024. We would love your support and your donations to help us hold the line for the America First agenda and to support the next generation of conservative leaders. So please go to legacy-pac.org. That's legacy-pac.org. Thank you so much for your continued support.
I'm Jerry Craig with the Vet Voice. On behalf of Veterans for Trump, I have the pleasure of speaking with Lieutenant Colonel Jay Block, who is a current county commissioner in the state of New Mexico and a former candidate for the governor of New Mexico. And today I want to talk to you, Jay, about the 2022 election.
Well, we've been a blue state for a long time. The Democrats have controlled the legislature for the past roughly 90 years. And we have three congressional districts. And unfortunately, in the South, we also did redistricting, and the Democrats purposely went after Congresswoman Yvette Harrell in the South and redistricted her. And she just lost by 1,000 votes to just a awful, really far left candidate. But some things I think that went into the race that probably didn't help Republicans. And I was going to throw a few things out here is the abortion issue. I don't think the messaging from the Republican candidates was great on abortion. In my opinion, it should have just been, hey, this is a state's issue now. I don't favor a federal ban. Let the states decide how they want to deal with abortion. I think that was the right call to overturn Roe v. Wade. The other piece that hurt us, and a lot of people felt like their votes may not count, or they just. The third piece for us was probably, quite frankly, some weak candidates. And a subset of that is the Republican Party is pretty fractured in New Mexico. And it's really fractured into three areas. We have the, kind of the establishment people. That's our chair is former Congressman Steve Pierce, who represented the Southern District of New Mexico for about 7 terms, 14 years in Congress. And then you have the former Governor Susana Martinez, who had just numerous issues. Her with her consultant, a guy named Jay McCleskey, who's had just some serious, legal issues and ethics issues. And those two pieces of the parties don't get along. Then you had a third part, which was my piece of the party, the grassroots independent conservatives. And this is one of the reasons why I won the state convention in February of 2022 in Ruidoso, New Mexico, is because I was able to really start a movement where, my argument was, hey, we have an awful governor. She's very unpopular. The policies are killing the state. We're last in so many areas. We have, the fractured party. I'm not a member of any of the major factions. My background is retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, nuclear weapons guy. I'm in private industry doing business development. I turned a county blue in 2016 when I retired from the Air Force, did some conservative policies in turning our county around. And I wanted to take all my experiences in my resume and bring that forward. But unfortunately, the candidate who won the race was already lost a race, statewide race 2 years earlier for U.S. Senate.
Let me ask you to clarify. Did you say that you turned the county from blue to red?
I did, yes, when I won my election in 2016. So in 2020, we had this weatherman from one of the TV stations run for Senate. He got the nomination, lost by 6 points. And then he had a lot of backing behind him. And, he was part of this Jay McCleskey, Susana Martinez faction. And a lot of people don't like that because they just they go after people, they lie about people. They're not very good people. And he attached himself to that, and he just never had any experience. And he waffled on abortion. He waffled on a few things. He was very hypocritical, very weak candidate, not very likable, not that bright, to be honest with you. And he just couldn't. And and we were really, the people in New Mexico, the people who don't really follow politics every day on the Republican side, were really lied to. You know, now we're left holding the bag of a far left governor, and I think we're going to end up seeing some really bad policy and laws passed in the session coming up in January, February, March here in New Mexico. So those type of things with abortion, a weak candidate, a fractured party, redistricting, um, voter integrity, those are the type of things that really um, went against um, candidates in New Mexico.
How do we go about informing the public? Because when I spoke to the different consultants for these different candidates or their campaign manager, the overarching thought was, well, the average voter doesn't know any better. So we're going to appeal to their sensitivities, appeal to their emotional stance on things. And then that's all we need, because we don't have time to educate these people. And they were basically saying that the voters were somewhat of a lost cause on educating the difference between state and federal issues. So the three House seats that you have, that do you remember from the race if all three of the Democratic candidates were running on the issue of abortion?
Yeah, and so was the governor. Absolutely. You know, if you're a Seinfeld fan, I think what the Democrats said, it's not a lie if you believe it. And
Costanza. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
yeah, George Costanza said that. So the Democrats kept putting this narrative out there, you know, hey, they're gonna ban abortion, they're gonna ban abortion. This is all they're gonna do is ban abortion, because the Democrats really didn't have any strong issues to run on. You know, and again, this is all my opinion, just what I see and talking to people is, you know, when inflation is at record high, I live on a border state. The border is not secure. Drugs are killing. The leading cause of death between Americans that are 18 to 49 years old. Um, People aren't going to be able to heat their homes. They're choosing between heating and eating.
Right.
You know, wages aren't keeping up. I mean, those are Republican issues that we should have capitalized on better. And the Democrats just really focused on only one issue. You know, and you might say, not you personally, sir, but I mean, you, the general public, might say, well, the voters aren't educated. A lot of these voters, they're either locked into their party, which is fine. It's just the way it is. You know, mom's a Democrat, dad's a Republican, my grandparents are Republican, so I'm a Republican, or vice versa. Or they are so busy with life that they see something coming across NBC, CNN, and Fox, and they just believe it and go with it. They don't do the research on these candidates,
Right.
or they're inundated with YouTube ads and Google ads of hey, candidate A is going to take this away from you, and candidate B is against this, and it's the fear mongering. When you can capitalize on one issue and really bring fear to people, and you can't really, and you're not turning out the vote, which Republicans I thought were going to really turn out. I mean, I think we ended up with 4 or 5 million more Republican votes nationwide in the midterms. But
Well, one thing I've also noticed is the Democratic Party, the liberals, whatever we're going to call them, because I don't really think that there is a Democratic Party anymore. It's kind of gone a little bit further left than that. But they jump on the emotional issues. It's hard to get excited about inflation. It's hard to get excited about an economy discussion. But that's really the difference, is that the Republican Party's agenda and the issues that the Republican Party pushes are the legitimate issues, but they're just not sexy. There's one thing that we could do as conservatives is to show the impact. I think that the cost of fuel and the energy crisis we have, the inflation, the lack of food goods and other items distributed, and all of these issues I'm so surprised that people aren't voting with their pocketbooks and their wallets, because it is outrageous the amount of the increase. And I, for the life of me, have no idea how the working poor aren't coming out in droves in support of the Republican Party. We have decided that we're going to promote candidates that are for America First and veterans' rights. And I believe that we have a good candidate for president. We have endorsed Donald Trump, as we're veterans for Trump, obviously.
And I'm trying to understand why Hispanics in New Mexico haven't come over to the Republican Party like the Hispanics and Latinos across Florida, Texas, and Arizona.
Because you were right to identify the broken GOP, and you're not alone. Even in red states, the GOP is fractured, and infighting is the poison of a conservative perspective, because we only apply principles to other people who have principles. And if the Democratic Party has no principles, they don't care about our perspective. Our measuring stick has no value to them.
Yeah, it's funny, what you were saying earlier about, the sexy issues, because to me as a county commissioner, I find fixing roads sexy, doing infrastructure, that's sexy, economic development, that's sexy, protecting the country, that's sexy. Fighting for veteran issues like I did, my thing with veteran issues in New Mexico is, hey, I don't want our vets, their pensions taxed at the state level. We're not a very friendly state for veterans in New Mexico. And we have a pretty decent sized veteran population in New Mexico. And by the way, the Navajo Nation is very veteran friendly, especially toward the Marine Corps with their history. But it just, my campaign, I had a lot of money against me, and it's just the way politics is, even though I won the state convention. And I couldn't get that message out because it takes a lot of money. And your organization, which endorsed me, which I was very thankful for, they do a lot of great work.
Ranger, someone wanted to go on and see a little bit more about who you are and what you're about. Do you have a website or social media that you like to plug?
I do. I have, you can go on my Instagram and Twitter. It's at elect JC Block. My Facebook is JAYC period block. And my government website as a county commissioner and elected official is sandovalcounty.gov here. It's important to me to turn this country around, because I'm 52 years old and I've never seen the country this bad. And this is not the country that I want to leave the next generation of Americans. We got to leave it better than we found it.
Well, if we don't save it now, it'll either be difficult or impossible to do it later. So, well, thanks for all your time and effort, and I hope to have you back on the show.